I want you to win. I think I made that pretty clear with all of my videos. I have been posting pretty much daily for the past several weeks, months, and there's so much value in these videos. Please go back and watch them. But there's one thing that keeps coming up in the comments, keeps coming up in real life where I'm in person with people. It happens in my DMs, happens in my emails. I watch people struggle with something that if you don't figure out now, like today, none of the other things will matter. None of the other lessons or tips, tricks, hacks, none of that will matter to your goal of making your first million. Now, I have a book called Your First Million. It's something that I'm very proud of that took me a while to write with my co-writer, Rachel. And people wonder, well, if you have a book called Your First Million, why isn't everybody rich? Why doesn't everybody have their first million? And this is what I said on the Tamron Hall show. I said that the majority of the people just won't buy the book or get the book from the library. Most people just won't hear about it or know about it in the world. So if you know about it, you're actually way ahead of most people, 99.9% of people, in fact. And then the people who get it won't, some of them won't read it. Not all, but some people just won't read the book. They'll get it to have it on their bookshelf, or they'll listen to the first couple of chapters and then they'll say, "Oh, okay, that was good. I got what I needed." So they won't read the entire book. And then the people who do read the book, most of the people who read the book won't implement the exact step-by-step instructions that I give them to make their first million. Now, this is not, I'm not shaming anybody. I'm not chastising anybody. I'm just making this note because it is funny to me that people ask, well, where's my first million when they don't go out and do the things. So this thing that keeps coming back that I had to tell you about today is this idea of not taking initiative. I was looking at a membership. I'm a member of like 20 memberships on School, and I have my own, of course, I have 5 of my own. But I was looking at this membership, and I was looking this morning at a comment that someone was making. And the host is really good at sales. They had done like $200,000 in 30 days in sales, and that's what their membership was about. And they were teaching that. And if I see someone making $200,000 in sales teaching me that for free, I'm going to listen. So the person posted, I did this, it's not impossible. And then someone wrote under that, I have an ad, a paid ad going, and nobody's joining my free membership. Nobody has joined. And so the host, took the time and said, well, show me the ad copy. Let me see it. And they post it, and it's just like a snapshot of the front of their membership, really hard to understand what it's about, dot, dot, dot. And then this is okay because you learn, you live and learn, you experiment. And then so the host says, well, why did you start this post, this like valuable ad copy that you're paying for? Why did you start it with, hi, my name is dot, dot, dot? And the person comes back and says, how should I start it? What should I do? Great. These are great questions because this person is going to be able to help. The person comes back and says 3 things, like gives them the sauce in this comment. Again, like one of many comments goes in and gives them the sauce that could have easily been an entire lesson. That person responds not with thank you, not with, okay, I'm on it, which is the right answer, by the way. They respond with, well, who can help me like do this? Like who knows more about this? And the person's like, okay, well, this, like, I would have stopped at that point. I would have been like, you need to Google that. You need to take some initiative. But this person went another step and said, this particular person is really good at sales. So look at what they do. Look at their copy, study their copy. Before you put another dollar into sales, ads, study what other people are doing. Pretty fair, right? This person responds, Well, what should I ask him? And what should I do then? And what should I do then? I am not saying that it's wrong to ask questions, because in fact, asking questions is a sign of intelligence. So if you ask questions instead of just pretending you know the answer and not doing anything and just sort of standing silent, it proves that you have some bravery, and it proves that you're highly intelligent and you're taking in that information. Always a good idea to ask questions. I encourage it. But what the problem for me is when someone wants things handed to them on just a silver platter, step by step, without any initiative from their side. There's a hunger that is missing. There's a hunger that is missing. I want you to think about the person that comes to mind first who's successful in business, and they're very, they have a lot of money or they've made a lot of money. Two different things, but like they've made a lot of money. They know what they're doing when it comes to generating revenue and income. And I want you to think of this person and make sure that they were not born into wealth and that they did not win the lottery. Those two things are important. And when that person comes to mind for you, I want you to also think about their story, what you know about them, what you've heard about them, what they've said about themselves. Usually, if not always, that type of success, without being born into wealth and without winning the lottery, is normally combined with hard work, or any type of work. It doesn't have to be hard work, but smart work also is work. It's initiative. It is research. It is implementation, experimentation. It's iteration and starting at something and trying it and then starting over and then trying it again. There's a lot of usually years between the time that they didn't know how to make money and they do now. I can think of like 10 people right now that fit that description. And when you think about this person or the people that you're thinking of, I want you to imagine them at their inflection point, meaning the time where things kind of took a direction in the right direction for them, a really meaningful point in their lives. And imagine that they just said, well, what do I do now? Well, what do I do now? Well, what do I do now? Instead of, like, in that order, instead of saying, okay, I do that. Thank you for telling me that. Okay, I'm going to go do that. I'm going to go do that, and I'm going to come back. And then I'm going to implement that, and then I'm going to come back for, what if they had just said, I don't know, the shrug emoji. I just don't know anybody. My point is, I don't know anybody who was not born into some type of wealth, who kind of started from scratch. And I mean middle, America or whatever, whatever country you're in, I don't know someone who was not born into wealth, who has success today, who didn't do some type of work to get there. And more importantly than quote unquote work, who didn't take initiative. They took initiative. The bottom line is you're not going to be rich if you don't take initiative. It just doesn't exist. I've been around thousands of millionaires and a few billionaires, and I'm not exaggerating that number. I've interviewed hundreds of them over the past 10 years. I've also worked with investment because I've raised millions of dollars. I've worked with hundreds or thousands. And I also, just in general, because of the work I do with my venture capital firm, with the investments that I make, and then as an entrepreneur myself, I've just been around them. And that's not the only measure of success. Obviously, it's not the only measure of success is how much you make or how much you have made. But when we're talking about this topic of how to make money, how to generate wealth, and how to generate generational wealth, these are very specific topics and very deep topics that will take years and years and years to cover. But when we're talking about that type of success, I just don't know anyone who just sat idly by and sits idly by and says, someone else will handle it. There's a curiosity. You can look at it like this too, if it's not clicking just yet. Hopefully it is clicking, but if it's not just yet, there is a curiosity that is so important and a common thread through successful people. There's a curiosity, this hunger for more information and this hunger to use that information. It's not just like they're like, oh, I want to learn for the rest of my life and that's all I'll do. That's a great way of being, by the way. If you want to be that way, you can be that way. You just won't make as much money. And that's okay because that may be fulfilling to you. But if you're someone who's saying, I'm in these YouTube streets because I'm trying to make money. I'm trying to learn the secret hack. I want to collapse time. I want to get from A to Z now. You can't get from A to Z without curiosity and without taking initiative. I just don't see it. Now, you can argue with me, and some of you will, but uh, this is what I know. After 10 years of being in venture capital and entrepreneurship in the tech space, after 25 years of being an entrepreneur, 25 years of being like an official entrepreneur, this is what I know. This is what I know. Uh, and it's important. And the cool thing is, here's some really good news, is that if you find yourself, if you're like, oh, she's reading me, this is me. And by the way, in the comments, if you're still with me, write in the comments. We're gonna do a code word. Write the word purple, purple in the comments if you're still with me, because it'll tell me who stayed and who's riding with me. But the good news is that if you're like, oh, I actually don't take enough initiative, or I ask a lot of questions without going to look for the answer for myself first. The good news is that you can change that right now. You can make a conscious decision to continue to ask questions, to continue to be curious and hungry, but to challenge yourself to go out and look for answers rather than relying on someone else to hand feed you those answers. Because most of the real learning and the real, like the true understanding of something is in the implementation and in the doing. I can tell you how to race a car. I don't know how to race a car, but I could tell you how to race a car and be an incredible race car driver. You can watch videos of it. I can explain it to you. But if I put you in a car on a track and I tell you a few things to do and then I have you do that, you're certainly going to know more and understand more than you would the next person who only got that anecdotal information. Think about anything that you do, anything that you've learned over the years, anything that you enjoy, that you feel like you're skilled at. You trained on it, you worked with it, it was tactile, it was even languages. Like the languages are a perfect example of this. You can learn a language in a class, but until you are immersed in that language, it doesn't have the exact same feel, an exact same dexterity of, oh, I can, these words are coming to me and I didn't even know they're like a second nature to me, right? There's many there's many examples of what I mean here, and you can apply this to yourself. What's an example that you can apply to this? Put it in the comments for me, because I'd like to see how you're thinking about this. What is something that you have learned that until you actually did it, it wasn't you didn't understand it as much, and you didn't realize that because you hadn't done it. Give me an example. That'd be great. The way forward for you, the way forward is taking all the information that you can when it comes to the lessons, especially from people who've already gone through the stuff. They have some great lessons to teach you. Look at yourfirstmillion.tv, the website, to see all of my videos, and watch 5, 10, 20 of those videos over the next few days. And you'll learn so much. I can't even quantify it. But then in between those videos, implement, do, go out and do. And you'll see that your level of skill and impact and influence, and even the network that you have, all of that will grow exponentially over time, and it'll grow pretty quickly up front. Remember, we talk about the compound effect. You put that and you put this together, and you are unstoppable.